Yo, what's up, people? I'm your host, JWil, and I would like to welcome you to Inspire God's People, where we balance faith and business to guide you to your purpose. This is episode 238. If I fail, that's okay. We're going to talk about why we need ambition. So I'm going to break down a couple of thoughts, share some opinions about, why ambition is important in the world today, and maybe even more, especially in the world today. Sometimes ambition, I can talk. Got to be careful with that one, buddy. I can talk. Sometimes ambition gets like a bad rap, you feel me? And is looked at as something that's kind of negative, especially from a Christian perspective. And, I spent a lot of time thinking about this. I actually, in my new project, my latest project, this time is different. If you haven't checked it out, please go do that. Please do like, share, subscribe to this video if you find value in the content. And I appreciate the love. So in my new project, this time is different. Hopefully you've checked that out, JWil Music. There's a song called No Balance, right? And in my music, there's all these messages that I write about that are important to me. And a lot of times the things I write or rap about is the same thing that I speak about, or make posts about, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to make some connections between the song and how that relates to this topic. This topic actually came from the song. So maybe even it would be dope to just share the song to start, right? So I'm gonna share a little bit of the song, No Balance. We're gonna break down some of the lyrics and what they mean in relation to why we need ambition and why it's actually okay to fail. There are so many people out there today that want to do something that, don't quite feel like they're good enough, or they have dreams, but they're afraid to put themselves out there and be vulnerable and go after what they really want in life. And a lot of times, if we're being real, the thing that's stopping us from going after what we want in life is, our imaginary fear of what the people around us think. You know what I'm saying? Can you relate to that at all? Like sometimes the people around you, you feel nervous or afraid of what they gonna think about what you doing, and do you look stupid or whatever it is. I feel like we all been there. I have for sure. I've been there. But I've also learned how to throw myself out there and kind of just let the results be the results and not really care what people think, and not at least not care enough to allow it to stop me from going after what I believe God called me to do, after my own dreams and goals and ambitions. And I think it's really important to be an ambitious person. And we're going to talk about, again, the reason that I'm attaching ambition and failure is because I think a lot of times we look at ambitious people like, there's guaranteed success or whatever, or they're only chasing success. And there is a negative side to ambition. Don't get me wrong. We're going to talk about some of the watch outs as you become an ambitious person. It's definitely not something you just go all into. You could easily lose sight of purpose. But, so many times, like, we think of ambitious people or successful people, as this like connection, like, oh yeah, well, this person is successful because, they're not afraid to do whatever, or dot, dot, dot. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of times, like, those ambitious, successful people have failed more than the average person. And it actually takes a lot of failure to get to success. And that's some of what I want to encourage and inspire people on today, is that, like, yo, it takes failure to succeed. So as long as you're afraid of failure, you really don't give yourself the opportunity to even try to be successful because you're so afraid of that. So let's talk a little bit about that. But like I said, I'm going to share a little bit of this song called No Balance from my new project, or my latest project. It came out in June. I can't call it new. You know what I'm saying? Be calling the project new forever. But the project is This Time Is Different by yours truly, JWil Music. And the song is called No Balance. Let's listen to a little bit of that and see what that's about. All right.
No matter who you are and where you from, God has a plan for you. Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fail. God has a plan for you. I'm trying to go from 7 miles to 7 figures. If I fail, that's okay, cause Jesus saved me and he paid it. Ain't no balance on my freedom. Ain't no balance on my freedom. Ain't no balance. I'm trying to go from 7 miles to 7 figures. If I fail, that's okay, cause Jesus saved me and he paid it. Ain't no balance on my freedom. Ain't no balance on my freedom. Ain't no balance, Jesus freedom.
All right, hold on. Let me come back and talk to y'all for a minute. So, beginning of the song, as you can see, the song starts off and says, no matter who you are and where you're from, God has a plan for you. So let me unpack that a little bit. And the reason why I said those words at the beginning of this song is because there's so much hatred in the world. There's so much victim mentality in the world. There's so much of everything negative in the world today. People who don't believe they can do something because of what they look like or where they're from. People who think you can't do something. All these things, and it's like, yo, hold on. I'm talking to the whole world, all of God's creation, no particular one group or people. No matter who you are or where you're from, God has a plan for you. So when you think about ambition, if you could first convince yourself that, yes, no matter who I am or where I am from, God has a plan for me. I think that's important as a foundational aspect of godly ambition, is to realize that God has a plan for you. Now, part of the reason it's important to realize that God has a plan for you is so that you don't feel like you got to go and try to script out a plan for yourself. And that as you go throughout this life and as you're ambitious and you try to go after success, that you realize that the success and the plan that you're going after is actually the one that God has for you, because there might be some other plans. You feel what I'm saying? Like there may be some other intentions that people have for you, but it's important that we stay focused on the plan that God has on our life. But some of us out here, if I'm being real, like we thinking that God don't have a plan for us. And I'm trying to convince people like, no matter who you are or where you from, God has a plan for you. Then it says, don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fail. God has a plan for you. Those are really powerful words. I mean, I wrote them, so I guess I'm a little biased. But, no matter who you are, where you from, God has a plan for you, right? And it's like, don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fail. God has a plan for you. And when you remind yourself that God has a plan for me, you won't be afraid to try. You get what I'm saying? You won't be even afraid to fail because you'll understand that there is even a plan in the failure. Like so many of us think that if we fail, it's final. And it's like, yo, failure ain't final unless you stop. The only thing that makes failure final is quitting. If you quit, that's it. If you don't try anymore, that's it. But as long as you keep going, there's lessons and things that you learn in failures. I've had plenty of failures in my life. And so you continue to learn and you keep going. And that's the difference between success, really, in the finality of failure, is people who stop, who don't give themselves the opportunity to know, what the potential is out there in their life. And I feel like there are so many of us that are stopping, like right before we get to where God wants us to be, right to where we get to see like, okay, there's fruit being produced in this effort, in this journey. And the Bible speaks about don't be weary and well doing, right? Now, that means you got to be doing well. That means you can't be out here planting any type of negative seeds in the world. You can't be out here planting a lot of toxic seeds in the world. And, if we being honest, right, like there's a lot of us that have allowed ourselves to get caught up in the ways of this world and get caught up in culture and what everybody's talking about and what everybody's doing. And sometimes when we're doing that, the real is that we're not doing what God called us to do. Some of us ain't doing what God called us to do because we doing what Instagram told us to do or what Facebook told us to do. And that's not the plan of God. And so some of us have allowed ourselves to become toxic. And look, I'm not here to judge you. I don't want to judge you. I only want to challenge you because I really love you. So the thing is, like, right, this is about being challenged. This is about really being called back to the things of God. This is really about being focused as believers. And I don't want to just call myself a Christian. I don't want to just go to church. I want to be a Christian. I want to follow Christ. I want to be Christ-like. And what that means is that I'm going to have to separate myself from the ways of this world and all the toxic and crazy things that's going on and try to go after the things that God has for me. So, my point is, as you think about being ambitious in a godly way, there's a separation that has to take place. And sometimes, if I'm being real, that separation is the hardest part for us. A lot of us don't want to separate from the ways of the world in order to follow the ways of the Lord. Why? Why is that? Like, let's unpack that. Why is it so hard to separate from the ways of the world? Well, first and foremost, because we're human, we have flesh, we have a sin nature, right? And so the reality of it is, you know, in some type of way, all of us have some type of sin that we have to be able and willing to resist and turn away from and to follow God. So that means that we don't always do what feels natural. We don't always say what feels natural. We don't always react to the first natural emotion because we realize, like, yo, it's some things about me that's not just inherently and automatically godly. So I gotta watch myself, right? And in order to do that, I can't just fully embrace everything that's going on in the world and go full speed ahead on the world's plan. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute, buddy. Wait a minute, pal. What did God say? Some of us not even asking ourselves, like, what did God say? Right. And so, again, think about it. What we talked about so far, be ambitious. Don't be afraid to fail. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, God literally has a plan for you. You don't have to be afraid to try. You don't have to be afraid to fail because God has a plan for you. Now, in this particular song, there are some lyrics that I say. I'm trying to go from 7 Mile to 7 figures. If I fail, that's okay because Jesus saved me and he paid it. Ain't no balance on my freedom. I'm trying to go from 7 Mile to 7 figures. If I fail, that's okay because Jesus saved me and he paid it. Ain't no balance on my freedom. Y'all feel me? So here's the thing. I'm from 7 Mile, right? That's where I grew up, right? In the inner city of Detroit. And since I've been a young child, I always knew that, like, I want more than this, right? Like, love it, love my people, love everybody from the hood I'm from, no disrespect to nobody. It's just that I knew while I was there as a young man, like, oh no, it's more than this, right? So I was like always ambitious because I never wanted to feel less than. I never wanted to feel like, yo, if other people can go after things in life, why can't I? And I'm gonna tell you, I've told this story before on my podcast, but I'm gonna tell it again. One of the first people that inspired me, it was on a career day in school, Atkinson Elementary School, where I went, and there was a guy named Darnell Hall. I want to say that was his name. Forgive me if I'm messing up the name. It was a long time ago. I might have been in fifth grade, I believe. And Darnell Hall came to our class for career day, and he was an Olympian. And I don't remember what medal he won or what medal he showed us. I just remember he was from the Sojourner Truth Projects, which was on the back side of the elementary school, and I lived on the first block on the front side of the school. And so I always hooped in those projects all the time. And I couldn't believe that somebody from those projects in my neighborhood was an Olympian. And that guy was one of the first people that inspired me as a young kid that came to my school for career day and talked about his experience as an Olympian. That gave me the belief that, like, yo, if he can make it out of here and like make it to the Olympics, then oh, it's possible. And sometimes, y'all, sometimes all we need to know is that it's possible. Sometimes all we need to know and all we need to hear is somebody else's story, somebody else's testimony. You know what I'm saying? I know it was career day, but y'all know I got to be churchy. It was a testimony. Like, sometimes all we need to hear is somebody else's testimony about their purpose and their dream and how they went after something to give us the belief that God can do it for us. And so, you know, this is a test and a challenge to everybody out there. Are you sharing your testimony with people, not stunting on people, not bragging, not like giving God the glory, all that, but like, are you sharing enough of what God has done for you to let people know, to inspire God's people to know that you can make it from here? Because a lot of times, I want to tell you what I'm seeing in the world today. I'm seeing a lot of trauma bonding. I'm seeing a lot of people that are like sharing negativity. And I'm not a doctor, a therapist, none of that stuff, but I just observe what I see. And so I'm looking and I'm like, yo, everybody's connecting off of negativity. and bonding off of negativity. And I'm sure maybe there's some level of positivity to that where it's not all bad. But what I'm seeing is like, yo, everybody's sharing their problems. Like the internet has become this very toxic place, right? Where almost the baseline position is be negative, like share something bad, expose something bad, like everything is negative. And I'm like, yo, it's a lot of trauma bonding and not enough testimonies. And I just know me. Maybe some people, maybe we got different personalities, and some people are inspired off of trauma and negativity. But I'm the type of person that's like, tell me something good. Like, tell me something good, fam. Tell me something that God has done for you. Tell me something that you have overcome so that I can know that it's possible for me. Because the reality of it is, when a lot of us are alone in our rooms and we, thinking and, driving or wherever we at, when it's just us and our mind and God, some of us are discouraged because we ain't never seen success. So we're starting to not believe in it. It's kind of part of what I see in marriage these days. I see a lot of people talk negatively about marriage. Well, it's because so many people are sharing negativity that negativity is becoming the only thing that's believable. And so sometimes we have to share our story to give people something to believe in. Because right now it's so much negativity. I'm telling you, like I really I be tapped in and knowing how people feel, man. Like I try to be very aware of like myself, but then my surroundings, and I'm looking at social media, I'm looking at the world, all the things that's happening. I'm like, oh yeah, like everybody tapped into negativity, everybody's triggered off negativity, and in some ways we acting like God ain't even here. Like we acting like God left us on this earth just as us by ourselves, and like yo, like it ain't nothing good in it. And so share some positive things. All right, so let me talk a little bit about this why we need ambition. First things first, there's the pressure of perfection. So we're going to talk about like how to overcome some things and some things that get in our way. One of the things that get in our way to cause us not to be ambitious is the pressure of perfection, right? This is a lot of times like an internal pressure that you don't want to present something until it's all the way right. And so you don't even want to try because let's be honest, a lot of times when you go out and try, somebody's going to see you, whether it's on the internet, whether it's in real life. Let's just give an example and say, I want to do live music, right? And it's like, I'm scared to go and perform live in front of people because they may see me mess up. I may forget a lyric or I may miss a note. And some of us are putting this pressure of perfection on ourselves to the point that it cripples you. You can't move because the reality is you ain't gonna never feel perfect. You're never gonna feel perfect. I know we want to, but it's like you're not gonna feel perfect. Everybody slips, everybody trips, everybody misses a lyric, everybody forgets something sometimes. So the best thing you could do is really relieve yourself from the pressure of perfection. What's the second thing? I want to talk about the power of ambition. Why is ambition important? It's because when you're going after something, right, there's an energy behind it, right? Sometimes it's just when you moving, you feel better than when you just laying around doing nothing. A lot of times, even when you tired, when you lay around and do nothing, it just make you more tired. But when you have some movement, right, and you are ambitious and you're like active, then you start to shed off some pounds. Then you start to get some energy, feel good about yourself. And so ambition is movement, right? It's not stagnant. Ambition, a part of it is gratefulness to me because it's like if God gives me these days and I do nothing with them and he gave me gifts, what am I telling him? But if I'm ambitious and I go out and I, do my podcast, right? And reach the three people that I'm talking to and not be worried about the fact that I'm only talking to three people. It's okay. And then but by doing that, you connect with one person, right? That's the power of ambition. You connect with that one person and they change their life or they're inspired or you give them something that they need. See, the power of ambition is not about going viral. It's not about reaching a million people. We have lost sight about the purpose of why we're doing what we're doing. If I fail, that's okay because Jesus saved me and he paid it. Ain't no balance on my freedom. There's no balance on your freedom. See, when Jesus died for you, He went to the cross and paid it all so that you may be free, that you may be saved. So I look at it like this, like, yo, Jesus saved me and he paid it. So there's no balance on my freedom. I'm free. I don't owe nothing. So that means I'm playing with house money as it relates to the things I want to try and do in this life. It doesn't matter if I fail, because at the end of the day, Jesus died for my sins. As long as I'm set free, as long as what I'm doing aligns with his word, okay, I could try to do a podcast, I can make an album. As long as it gives him glory and I'm in his will, it's like, bro, even if I fail, I'm okay because I'm saved. Salvation is the most important thing. And so some of us have put the ambition, the money, and all these things in front of God. And a lot of what I like to do in my music is talk about this, right? This is a song, No Balance, about ambition. But what I'm doing is flipping the whole narrative and saying the only reason I can be ambitious, the only reason I'm comfortable being ambitious and going after things and trying to be successful is because I'm already saved. There is no balance. Jesus saved me and he paid it. Ain't no balance on my freedom. So yes, I can try to go from 7 Mile to 7 figures as long as I do it God's way. I'm not trying to go from 7 Mile to 7 figures selling drugs or doing something negative or doing something illegal, because those ain't the things that Jesus died for me for. It's like Jesus didn't die on the cross for me to be a dope dealer. He ain't do that. Ain't why he set me free. But if I understand why he set me free, it's like, oh, okay, I can go and walk in purpose. You can go and walk in purpose. This is about being ambitious and becoming more ambitious in Christ, not ambitious in the world. See, some of us, the heart of our ambition, the foundation of our ambition is, ooh, I see that person over there with 1 million followers, and I heard they made X amount of dollars. So the money is my ambition. The followers are my ambition. The fame is my ambition. But all of those things will crumble without God. If you go chase all that stuff, you chase all that stuff and you don't have God as your foundation, and I mean a real foundation, it's not going to last. And so we got to get to the point where we realize that it's not just about obtaining things, but it's about sustaining. Not just obtaining, but sustaining. I don't want to just get something. I want to keep it. And you keep things by being in God's will, by doing it God's way, right? By following God. The thing that comes on my mind off the Bible, right? And I'm not going to go deep into it. I don't want to start messing up the stories, and because I ain't preaching right now. I'm just giving my opinion and sharing some things. But in the Bible, I think about Saul, who was anointed to be the first king of Israel, and through his disobedience, right? He was the king. He had it all. But the Lord gave him some direction about, like, yo, you don't, hey, you go over here and you conquer this land, but you don't take the stuff, right? And see, some of us get greedy. We already got it all. You have to put your ambition in your place to make sure your ambition doesn't become greed. And so in Saul's case, right, got greedy and lost it all. And so that's why we have to understand the purpose of ambition and the power of ambition. Like, it is powerful to be ambitious and to go and do the things that God called you to do. And in doing that, he's going to allow you to produce fruit. But you got to be careful that you could be doing something God told you to do and still be out of order. Like, God called him to be the king. He was in order as the king, but then he was disobedient on the mission. And then you could lose it all. So we gotta obtain what God wants us to have, but then we got to work on sustaining it, right? Me, you, whoever. This is for everybody. I'm not talking at you. I'm talking to myself first. Like, yo, we want to sustain what God gives us. We don't want to get stuff and lose it and fall short and all that. It's like, no, bro, we want to do what God called us to do, get what we supposed to get, then we want to keep it, right? That's the power of ambition. We talked about the power of salvation, right? The power of salvation is the fact that it comes before all of this. And when Jesus saved you, he gave you the freedom, right? You're set free. Hey, go and do what God called you to do. Do it. Write the book, sing the song, go after the job. This really applies to life in general. If first you are saved and you are set free, then go after the things that God called you to go to. But I'm going to tell you, this is a really challenging part, is because you got to really know that God called you to it. Now, my first The first way I think we should go about doing this is read the Bible, and obviously seek whatever pastor or ministry leadership you have in your life. But we really got to read the Bible and understand it in a sound way, right? Because sometimes what we do, let's just be honest, we do this. We insert God into the things after we already decided what we wanted to do. So really, we called ourselves to the mission, and then we like, yeah, God, keep me on this mission that I called myself to. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Did I tell you to go and become that? Did I tell you to try to go become the number one singer in the world? Like, I don't know. Like, some of us, we go after things that we can't even handle. And when I say you can't handle it, here's what I mean. It's like, can I obtain this thing and still be saved and still follow the ways of the Lord? And the reality is, some of us get so greedy, or our eyes get so big, we look at the things we want and we like, man, I want that no matter what. And the thing is, we obtain that. Like, let's use like somebody like me who's like a Christian rapper, and I'm just like doing what God called me to do, trying to and being content with where God wants me to be. But let's say I just got super greedy and I'm like, no, I'm a co-artist. I deserve to be, I need to be everywhere. I need to be heard. And let's say I start chasing this selfish ambition and I get it. But it ain't what God called me to do. Then it starts breaking you. It starts pulling you away from God. It doesn't come with peace, right? And I look at a lot of people, and no hate, no disrespect, I look at a lot of people who have a lot of fame and stuff, and how they present themselves on social media and how they manage things. And I'm like, yo, it's a lot of famous people that just look like they really need help. And I'm like, I wonder how many of them people wish they were regular. And whether they wish it or not, I was like, yo, some people, they be famous, but they be needing to be regular. Like, hey, bro, you might need to be regular. You might need to chill so that you could find yourself. You feel what I'm saying? And so I think so many of us, we're chasing the things, the carrot, like we want the money, the fame, and it's like this stuff is destroying us. We losing our character. Like, if you become famous, all right, cool, you famous, but then you lose your character. Now you arrogant. You used to be humble. You know what I mean? Like, now there's all these other factors we don't consider about fame, and it destroys people, and all the responsibility that comes with it, all the pressure that comes with it. And sometimes, look, if it's God's will, it's God's will. But I'm talking about chasing things that God didn't even tell you to chase. And some of us, our lives are so out of order just simply because we going after stuff that God didn't tell us to go after, because we decided we wanted it. And then we tried to have him co-sign us. Like, look, it's nothing worse than co-signing a loan to me. Like, just to make it about that. Like, bro, everybody who know me know I'm not co-signing your car. I'm not co-signing for nothing. Like, it's not happening. Why? Because a lot of times you ain't even supposed to have that. Like, if you could get it, you could get it. If you could get it, you could get it. But some of us, we always looking for a cosigner to allow us to do something that we ain't supposed to do. And that's how it works sometimes. We want God to co-sign us. Like, no, bro, I'm not co-signing you, because if I would have called you to it, you could do it. What you need a cosigner for? That means you ain't ready. That means it's not time. That means you're not in position to be able to do this on your own. No, do it on your own. Be ambitious. Go after things in life. Put yourself in position. Have discipline. Have patience. And you can do it. No matter who you are or where you're from, God has a plan for you. That's what I believe. All right, so I want to talk about something else. Successful people fail more than they succeed. So I know a lot of times what we do is we see a successful person and we just think everything they touch is gold. But the reality of it is, I think about Shark Tank, right? I've done I read their book, Shark Tank book, a couple years ago, and I've done like a little bit of background studies on it. I remember one time in the business world, I actually did some business and some negotiations with a company that was first on Shark Tank, and they got a deal. And I was asking them about it, and I'm not going to like talk about everything we talked about. But my point is, like, in doing business with them, I was able to ask questions about like Shark Tank and the behind the scenes and how some of the things work with getting the money. And they were basically telling me like, oh yeah, like that's just the initial terms. But when you walk off the show, there's still some negotiations and things being talked about in the background. And the money that you land on in the show isn't always the money that you end up getting on the back end, right? That's as far as I shared it, what somebody told me. And my point with that is I've also read about the investors, the sharks themselves. And it's like you see them from week to week, month to month, year to year, they're investing in a business. And it's like, oh, most of them fail, right? Like most of the businesses on Shark Tank that get a deal fail. But the sharks are dependent on the very few that make it, because the very few that you succeed in cover all the sins of the failures. And so sometimes we got to understand in this life, the reason is if you fail, it's okay, is because you don't got to be right about everything. But if you do a couple of things right in a big way, they can have a lasting result. I think about like an investor like Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett, and I follow the financial world a lot, the macroeconomy. I like to read on it and watch, YouTube videos and just stay up to date with the macroeconomy. And a lot of times you read about investments and things like that. And, you look at Warren Buffett's investment portfolio from year to year, like it's not always amazing. He fails a lot. But it's like, but he became successful as an investor. So we only see him through the eyes of the things he was successful at. But if you look, it's like I was looking at this one with he talks about how he missed on Microsoft. What was it? Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. He considers that like one of his most significant mistakes because he couldn't see the value of those companies early on. I know you heard about Walt Disney before. He was fired from a newspaper because he lacked imagination. Imagine that. Pun intended. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper because he lacked imagination. Imagine being the person who couldn't see the imagination in Walt Disney. That's what happens sometimes in life. The reason I'm okay with failing sometimes is because sometimes it ain't even that I'm a failure. It's that somebody can't see the success yet. I think of Van Gogh. I talk about Van Gogh all the time. I think I talked about him on the last episode because I'm so inspired by Van Gogh. Because why? Because he sold one painting during his lifetime. But yet his paintings today, try to go buy one, $50 million, $60 million, $30 million. I can't afford it. But when he was alive, he only sold one painting and it was the equivalent of about $1,500 today. Too early to see his greatness. He had to fail. And unfortunately for him, he didn't even get to see his success because he didn't become successful until he died. His sister-in-law? It was a family member, maybe his uncle's wife. That's who made him famous by starting to set up art exhibits. This is after his death, years after his death. This was her life's mission, her purpose, her ambition, right? Think about that. The power of ambition. I didn't even think about that. Like Van Gogh died, and then his uncle, who wanted him, was he named after his uncle? He might have been named after his uncle. Don't quote me on that. You got to look it up yourself. Can't believe everything everybody's saying on the internet. But he had an uncle that wanted to, have his legacy live on, and then his uncle died, and he had just got married recently. I forget the exact time frame, but it was that lady who wanted to carry on the legacy of her husband. We talking about the power of ambition. Van Gogh sold one painting. He was not famous. He was not selling millions. But you know what he did? Woo-hoo-hoo. He painted. Painters paint. Van Gogh he only painted for about a 10-year life, 10-year span. Oh, I gotta go. I gotta see. Give me 1 second. How many paintings did Van Gogh sell? No, paint. They wanted to go to sell the internet, boy. How y'all know what I want to say? Woo! Painted around 900 paintings during his lifetime, his decade-long career, alongside more than 1,100 works on paper. Van Gogh painted 900 paintings in 10 years and had 1,100 works on paper and only sold one painting during his lifetime. Yet I can't afford a Van Gogh painting today, and he's considered one of the greatest artists of all time. Think about that. But at least through all his troubles, he was ambitious enough to paint. And that's what this is about today. Paint. Painters paint. Don't worry about selling it. Don't worry about being world renowned. You know, I got over 75 songs, maybe 80 songs, I think, that I've recorded, albums out, projects. Like, because my perspective is I'm an artist, I put out art. It's not my goal ain't to get a Grammy, it's not to be whatever. I create my music to be discovered like Van Gogh's paint. That's how I look at it. Like, hey, I'm just gonna focus on creating quality art. And if at some point in time somebody comes across it and discovers it and finds it of value and they can find the messages and the word in it, then I've done my part. But for now, I got to paint as many paintings as I can while I can. And so many of us are wasting time not painting that we don't even have a legacy to leave behind. Your work, your purpose is your legacy, not how many followers you got, not how many likes or subscribers are, how many views are on this video? I don't care if it's 7. I'm painting. I'm dropping episodes. This is episode 238. My goal is just to do the work. That's the ambition, not the result. See, we get it confused and we believe the ambition is the result. The ambition is the work. We need to be ambitious while we plant seeds and not worry about the harvest. Let God worry about when it's time to harvest. I'm just here to plant right now. I'm just here to put in work right now. I'm here to write songs, to make podcasts, to do business deals and negotiating. Like, I'm just here, painters paint. And I feel like so many of us, I can talk, have lost sight of just doing the work. Do the work, fam. Idle time is the devil's playground. And that time that we're wasting, sometimes scrolling social media is cool. If you're watching my podcast like you're doing right now, like whatever couple people on here, like if you're watching something valuable, but how many of us are wasting time doing nothing? And then it's paint over here with an empty canvas waiting to be painted. It's things waiting to be done to the glory of God, and you just sitting around doing nothing because of all these reasons you created why you shouldn't do it. And a lot of them is outside factors that have nothing to do with God. God ain't tell you to worry about going viral. God didn't tell you to worry about followers or subscribers. Nowhere in the Bible did I read like, yeah, and don't create the podcast until you have 1 million followers. No, do the work. Painters paint, baby. Painters paint. Let me go back to this song before we get out of here, because y'all gonna realize what I'm talking about. All right, no balance. Let's see. Let me mute this.
I'm thinking about money, you missing the purpose. Pictures I painted in verses. Picasso and Van Gogh in church. Life is a canvas, words are the paint. God knows my art, ain't nothing changed. Speak sound doctrine, ignore the gossip. Inspire guys, people who are afraid to be great. You should be cracking the safe by now, but you afraid to be in the bank.
Okay, hold on, buddy. Hold on, buddy. Be spitting. Y'all don't be knowing. What I say? Thinking about money, you missing the purpose. See, I wanted to start off this song to let people know, like, yeah, I'm talking about going from 7 mile to 7 figures. If I fail, that's okay. Jesus saved me and he paid it. Ain't no balance on my freedom, right? But I started the verse off with thinking about money, you missing the purpose. Pictures I painted in verses. See, I'm trying to tell y'all I'm painting. Painters paint. This is my art. This is what God called me to do. Thinking about money, you missing the purpose. If you think this song and going from 7 mile to 7 figures and being ambitious is just about money, you missing the purpose. Pictures are painted in verses. Picasso and Van Gogh in church. Come on now. Words of the, what did I say? I got to go back now. Hold on. Picasso and Van Gogh in church.
Mile to 7 figures. If I fail, that's okay, cause Jesus saved me and he paid it. Ain't no balance on my freedom. Ain't no balance on my freedom. Ain't no balance, Jesus freedom. Thinking about money, you missing the purpose. Pictures I painted in verses. Picasso and Van Gogh in church. Life is a canvas, words are the paint. God knows my art, ain't nothing changed. Speak sound doctrine, ignore the gossip. Inspire guys, people who are afraid to be great.
Hey, life is a canvas, words are the paint. You get what I'm saying? Life is a canvas, my words are the paint. Ain't nothing changed. God knows my art. Ain't nothing changed. Okay, God knows my art. That's the name of one of my albums. So I'm giving you my paintings right now. God knows my art. Ain't nothing changed. Speak Sound Doctrine. Sound Doctrine is one of my art, my albums. Speak Sound Doctrine. Ignore something. Inspire God's People. That's the name of one of my albums. Who Afraid to Be Great. That's another name of one of my albums. So what am I saying? Like within this, like, the art is telling the story of the art. Speak sound doctrine, ignore God, ignore the gossip, inspire God's people who are afraid to be great. My goal is to inspire God's people who are afraid of greatness. Afraid to Be Great is the name of another album that me and my brother Darius did. You should be cracking the safe by now. The point is you should be getting what I'm talking about by now, right? Like I'm using these albums to speak to you. Like, all right, I'm gonna get off that. I'm gonna get off the album. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm giving you the bars. You're gonna have to go and listen to the project yourself. Inspire God's people. I'm not. This time is different by JWil Music. Look, I appreciate y'all rocking with me. I hope this episode bless somebody. I hope that there's at least just an ounce of inspiration in here for somebody who needs it. You know what I'm saying? JWil, what up, bro? Appreciate you, my brother. Love you, dog. But I hope there's at least just an ounce of inspiration in here to say, get out of your own way. Don't be afraid to move forward. Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fail. As long as you're doing what God called you to do, you will prevail. Thank you so much for watching this show. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Inspire God's People. Also, I got a YouTube artist page, JWil Music. That's JWilMusic. It's all one word. Thank you so much for rocking with me. If you catch this on a replay, don't be afraid to comment. Just say something, do something. Anyway, this was great. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Y'all have an amazing night, man. I'm out of this mud. I got places to go, things to do, stuff to say.